we're getting closer to the end of this November international break, so I thought it would be a good time to just take stock, take a pause, and give my thoughts on Bristol City's season so far, because it feels like I haven't really had that opportunity to do so. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to do exactly that in this video. So join me as I reflect on Bristol City's season up to so far, after 15 games into this championship season. And yeah, this feels like a particularly important time, considering we're going into definitely the most hectic part of the schedule, of the calendar, uh, for Bristol City and for all championship clubs, really. So let's dig into it, because this might be a little bit waffly and a bit of a incoherent video, but I just think it just needs to get my thoughts across on what I've seen so far this season, because I feel like I might be in the minority in this one, but we'll talk about it and we'll get my thoughts across, shall we? So objective facts. Let's start with that, shall we? That's always a good place to start. 23 points after 15 games for Bristol City, 1.533 points per game so far this season. Compare that to last season, and Bristol City have had an increase of 3.72% in terms of their points per game output. Again, a lot of caveats with that. 68 points to get into the playoffs last season. Obviously, we all were very, very happy, very excited, incredibly pleased that we got into the playoffs last season, but we also have to recognise that was, I think, lowest ever, potentially, definitely lowest in a long, long time to get into the playoffs. And it's not a particularly fair comparison to make in terms of sixth place, but still, it's an increase, and purely performance-wise, it's an increase so far this season. Another point being, it's only 15 games this season. We've still got another 31 to go. This could increase, this could decrease. Yeah, let's assume so far that it's been great. There's been an increase in the points per game output. If this points per game output keeps going and we carry on with 1.533 points per game for the rest of the season, Bristol City will accumulate 70.53 points per game, which obviously will mean we'll get more points than last season. 70.53, what does that mean? Well, for sixth place, which I think most people would take, they sixth again. In terms of a 10-year average for sixth place, that includes last season, and the season Sunderland finished sixth with 69 points, so two very low totals. Also includes Bournemouth with 77, I think. The 10-year average for sixth has been 73.5 points. So even if we do carry on and assuming that the 10-year average is true and you need 74, 75 points to get in the sixth, Bristol City would fall short of that at the moment. And it looks like it will be closer to 73 than it will be for 68 if you look at the points accumulated so far in the championship. And well, we're eighth and we're projecting 70.53. So it certainly looks like it's a high standard to get into the playoffs this season compared to last. And you have a runaway leader right at the top in Coventry as well, which might help things in that matter as well. In terms of other teams, well, mainly because of the league table, Bristol City had been above all the parachute teams up until recently. Ipswich have now overtaken City. They've put together 20 points in the last 10 games. No real surprise they've overtaken us. But Southampton, Leicester, Sheffield United still below City, and there is an argument to be made that one of them will finish above, definitely, maybe two of them. But if Southampton or Leicester get things together, maybe Leicester have a points deduction, so maybe that is two. If Southampton gets things together with the new manager, there is an argument that over the longer term, if they put together, 2.1, 2.2 points per game for 15, 20 games, they could overtake Bristol City and then get into the playoffs. That argument is there, and it's probably fairly valid, but that's in the back of my mind. If okay, we're eighth at the minute, okay, we're within touching distance of the playoffs, and getting ourselves comfortably into the playoffs, there might be stronger teams who have underperformed so far that could overtake Bristol City in the longer term. Conversely, Preston, Hull, Millwall to a certain degree, lesser degree, sorry, are all above Bristol City at the minute in the championship table, so we could potentially overtake some of them. Obviously, we finished above all of them last season, and over the longer term, it's an argument that if we get certain players back, we could get into get above them, and that's 3 teams. If we finish above those three, then should we get into the playoffs? Look, it's all sort of theory at the moment, and we could see someone who's in the middle of the minute, someone like a Swansea, for example, who we could just shoot up the table and get into the playoffs. It's all very early. It's also still very embryonic into the championship table. By the end of this run, up until the new year, is when we'll really start things sort of gelling. I think in terms of who are the real contenders and who are the real pretenders. Let's move the conversation back specifically to City. Uh, Season so far, the big sort of major talking point has been injuries yet again, and it is sad, and I don't really want to talk about it, but it's going to have to be mentioned because it's just been chaotic. Yet again, it's been so turbulent, and it's probably not helped my scenario of I can't really get a read of us at the minute, which is the big talking point, the big point I wanted to convey across in this video. I'll repeat that. I can't really get a read of us at the minute. Uh, and these injuries certainly haven't helped, because if you can't get your strongest 11, your best players, or a lot of your best players out in the minute, out on the pitch in their best positions as well, would be helpful. It's so hard to get a consistent read on anyone, and it's not really fair to judge a team as well. So since Preston away, we've been missing Jason Knight, we've been missing Max Bird. Since Sheffield Wednesday away, we've not had Joe Williams available for the whole season. Campering, I think, falls into that same category as well. So we've had so many players who have just not been available for City, and recently, obviously, Mark Sykes, Neto Borges, they've both been unavailable for City as well. That's reconfigured not only the wing backs and the midfield, but it's obviously meant Zach Viner has had to move into central midfield, and we know all about the injury problems. I don't need to harp on about it, but it's very, very much important. And the point I really wanted to make was it's not particularly fair to judge. And over these last 3 games, we've seen just how deficient the squad has been, and how much it has been stressed, and how well actually we have done prior to these last 3 games, where the 1-1 draw at Watford, which is a very good point, the 1-0 defeat at home to Blackburn, obviously the 5-1 pasting at Stoke, which I was there for. You could see that the squad had been stretched, and the international break had actually come at a good time. So, look, we need the players back to get a fair read on City. We need on these group of players and how good actually are they. And the argument could be, well, if they are as good as some of us think, well, we'll get better as the season goes on. And if this is our sort of base, this is our sort of trough in terms of performance-wise and just general injury level-wise, surely we can only get better once we get our better players back. Captain and best player, potentially, possibly, in Jason Knight, someone in Campering, who I think is going to be fantastic in this Gerhard Struber system once he gets fully reintegrated back into the starting 11. I think he's going to be brilliant. I think there is an argument that actually, and I think it's a valid argument, that Bristol City are going to get better. And I think that'll probably be the case. And yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on that theory. But I think that's a very, very valid case. You get your better players back, you become a better team, and you become a little bit more well knitted. You form more partnerships. Obviously, this team has been very settled from last season. The transition's been pretty smooth, and a couple of real additions, Vitek and Randall and Reese. But that front three's been relatively consistent up until recent, where Sinclair Armstrong's come in. But there is a serious argument there that we'll get better. In terms of how we've performed at home compared to away, this has been a flip from last season, hence why I wanted to mention it. We've been much, much, much better away from home than we have been at home, and I think that would have been a feeling in my soul. But yeah, third in the away table compared to 14th in the home table, 1.71 points per game away from home compared to 1.38 points per game at Ashton Gate. 11 points in 8 games at home, 12 points in 7 games. So one fewer game, 1 more point away from home. So definitely skewed better away from home this season. And this links into one of my final points, which is Gerhard Struber, which obviously is a major talking point in this one, in this video as well, because he's he's ultimately new to the football club. He's sort of reintegrating back into the Championship, getting a feel for things. And actually, that style of play, which worked so well at home last season, we were brilliant at home last season. Now outside the top four, we're probably the best. We were the best team at home last season, fifth best team in the league. And the fact that it's almost flipped on its head a little bit probably does relate to the style of play. And I haven't actually checked this, but I'm guessing we average less possession so far this season compared to last season. There have been a couple of games at home, even Birmingham in particular, where we just sort of let the opposition have the ball and hit them on the counter attack. And then Sheffield United away, that worked incredibly well. Watford away, we did that to a certain degree as well. The style of play clearly does resonate better away from home because of that sort of underdoggy mentality or underdoggy setup that we have, and the counter-attacking sort of prowess, the transition monsters, as Struber likes to say, and that counter-pressing and all of that sort of good stuff that we've been sort of introduced to since Struber's come in. I will say there have been games this season where I feel like it's not worked, and we've somehow still got points from those games, and that might be relating to the soft fixtures, relatively soft fixtures we've had so far this season. Yeah, you let me know your thoughts in the comments on that particular theory as well. But there have been games where I felt, I don't really know what we're trying to do here, and it doesn't really feel like we're executing what Struber will want from the Struber team particularly well, but we're getting things done. And does that reflect as well on the quality that actually we've got some good players who can get points in the Championship despite not playing particularly well? Again, that's also something to chew on. There's a lot to chew on. I will say. I will admit this is a bit of a incoherent video. But yeah, back to style of play. I think as a whole, Southampton at home, I think was a real sort of peak Struber ball where press really well, let Saints have the ball, but actually we counter-attacked fantastically. The counter-pressing, the pressing was brilliant. The transitions were good, they were fast, they were exciting to watch, and that's ultimately what we want from this team, and that's ultimately where Bristol City will be at their best this season, where we're counter-attacking with pace, we're getting balls in behind, we're getting runners in behind. That's where we're going to be, really dangerous this season. So the hope is, I think finally, if we get our better players back, once we get our better players back, which should hopefully be either just as we head into this absolute manic run, or right in the middle of this absolute manic run that we're going to have until February, that hopefully those players can implement this style of play a little bit better, and there are players waiting to come back who are maybe a better fit to what we want to try and do. And if that's the case, we'll get better, won't we? Which is the hope. Which is the hope for Bristol City. And that's not slack on any of the players that have played, particularly the last 3 games. But there are players now who have been drafted in because we've needed them, not because we want to play them. And that's not their fault. That's not their fault, but it's not their fault the players ahead of them got injured. It's not their fault that players have had to move around due to those injuries. But if we can get those players back, I think the simplistic answer is we will get better, and that is what I'm going to sort of hold my hat to. I think Bristol City are real contenders to get into the playoffs. I do think that. I think there's some real quality within this team. And I think Struber is not a bad manager. I just think he needs his players back, his best players back. And if we can get that, keep going soon enough and not be completely cut adrift, and it's just such a pain in the backside, isn't it, these injuries? If we can get those players back, I think Bristol City can be real contenders. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Could we finish in the top 6 again? Am I getting I literally told myself I'm not going to talk about the playoffs a lot. I've ended the video talking about the playoffs. But yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on City's season so far, up to date, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.